Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Political Brown Kid here. Once again, Bill Maher saying Bill Maher type stuff, which, if you know what I'm going to say, is Bill Maher saying stupid ass, you know what. Bill Maher's probably the biggest idiot I've ever heard in my life. Never met him, but he's probably the biggest idiot I've heard and even seen because I've seen him on my television screen. I really don't watch his show, but I do scan it. Well, no, you can say I watch it. I guess you could say I do watch it. I don't watch it in real time. I do scan it because, once again, I do analysis on stuff like this. Trust me, I've done analysis on ghetto gaggers. Didn't want to watch it, but I did just so I could report on it and obviously try to bring awareness to that bull crap, which no one cares about. I've tagged Oprah, tagged Gail, tagged Tyler Perry, tagged Tamron. I've tagged all of these quote unquote black women who say they care so much about black women. They care about black women when black men are doing stuff to black women, but they don't care when white men are doing stuff to black women. But I digress talking about ghetto gags. Back to Bill Maher, and just he's the poster child for a racist liberal. I keep telling you guys that he has that colonialism, imperialistic mind that all white liberals have. Liberals only care, and that's even for you sisters out there. These white women only want you involved in the feminist movement to help their agenda. Once they get their agenda, do you see them fighting for Taraji? Do you see white women fighting, and do you see them canceling and berating Brad Pitt in the whatever studio that produced any of the what's the movie Benjamin Button because of Taraji's salary? No, they only care that Katniss Everdeen got paid Katniss Everdeen money. They only care about them. And black women keep following these white women, and these white women just want their agenda heard. Pay attention, black women. I'm trying to help you guys out, but you can't keep beating up on us brothers who are trying to, we're not your enemies. And that's what I want to let you know that. But back to Bill Maher and these white liberal racists. Once again, if you watch the show he's on, it was the last show of the December 2023 calendar year before he went on break. And I think that Lori Favors, the black female, she's on there. In the end, and I'm going to play the sound bite here so you can listen to it. I'm not going to play it in its entirety. I'm going to edit it just so that you know it's edited, but these are his words. But just to give you the context, what he's doing is he's basically explaining that the map of today and societies of today were different than years past. And he's going to use several examples, and I'm going to keep these in the clip, hopefully. He's basically saying that, Palestine now controls the area that Jews would consider holy and sanctified, but Jews aren't fighting to get it back because that's the way lands change, geographic areas change, and the people in those areas change, and people need to get over it. So he uses the example that, the United States came in and took I guess like California and New Mexico and Arizona. I guess look, I didn't take geography class, so bear with me. But basically, the United States, when the United States first came over here and kind of colonized America, one of their moves that they did after they did the Indians, and he failed to mention how the Americans did the Indians, but I'm going to get to that. I'll plug that in. But he basically said that when America came in and took New Mexico, Arizona, and California from Mexico, he's saying that the Mexicans aren't fighting to get that back, and rightfully so. He's like, they should get over it, move on. What's done is done, and just live with the area that you now currently have. He failed to mention that the Americans, the Europeans, the Caucasians came and took all of North America. Well, not the whole. Yeah, really, North America. It's Canada's Europeans came and took all of North America from the indigenous Americans. And basically, he's saying that they need to get over that. And so he's basically showing you clips of various maps of how land territory has changed and how people just need to get over it and not try to get their land back. He's basically bringing this up because of the whole Palestine-Israel fight. So here's the question that I have for Bill Maher, and this is why this is so disturbing. He just doesn't care that people were subjugated and had their land taken away from them. He doesn't care that indigenous Americans were they're basically exterminated for the most part. Have you ever seen a real live indigenous American? Have you ever seen a true-blooded Native American? Because most of the Native Americans you see, they're very light-skinned, so that you can tell they have been, they're mongrels. Basically, they have Caucasian blood in them. They have Caucasian blood. If you look at Sitting Bull, go back and look at a picture of Sitting Bull and see how dark Sitting Bull is. Those were Native Americans. Why do you think they call them Redskins? They had dark skins. Those Indian Native Americans that you see on Yellowstone or on any television show they're basically like they're mongrels. Their blood has been diluted. So he doesn't talk about. So he's just basically like the indigenous Americans should just deal with it and they shouldn't have their land back. He's basically saying that no country, that anybody that Europeans colonized for their good, for the benefit of Europe and Caucasians, no one else should fight to get their land back. But let me ask you something, Bill Maher. So basically you're saying that now what's done is done and that everybody should just stop and play with the cards that they have. That's similar to telling somebody that we're going to let white people run a marathon race and all white people get a 5,000-mile head start to run this race around the world. Give all white people a 5,000-mile head start. And then once the black people and the Native American people start running and they start kind of gaining, they're not gaining too much. But they're gaining because they're running faster and faster and faster. And the whites are slowing down. And now since the gap now is from 5,000, since their original gap was 5,000-mile lead, now their lead is only down to 4,850. Now, since they're like, oh, we're losing ground, everybody now has to run the same speed. No one can run greater than 3 miles per hour. And then now we'll see who wins the race. That's ridiculous. You'll never win that way. And that's why blacks are going to always never win their race, because they're trying to follow these diversity and inclusion standards. So anytime you see Oprah and all of these black people start a company, they want to be diverse and hire white people. No, you're supposed to be racist and make your staff 90% black and give all of the admin assistant jobs and the mailroom jobs to the white people and say, see, we've hired some white people. They're in the mailroom. I'm sorry, all of our tech staff is black. All of our executive level staff is black. That's the only way you're going to catch up. That's the only way you're going to catch up. But when you start trying to play fair, it's not going to work. And so basically, to get back on task with Bill Maher, he's basically saying that no other country should try to expand their empire, while the United States continually expands and dominates their empire. They have a military base on every country, even Cuba. America, you couldn't even go into Cuba, but you got a military base there. How the hell does that work? I'm trying to figure that out. You got a military base everywhere. And no one else is allowed to. So basically what you're trying to say is that it's okay for America to commit terrorist acts against other countries, but when other countries do it to America or to American allies, they're wrong. Basically, America shouldn't lose any more territory, and we're just supposed to stay with what we have and be the most powerful nation in the world, and everybody else is supposed to be second and third world nations, and no other country should try and take land back. You're basically saying that Mexico would be wrong to try to take California, Arizona, New Mexico, and all of that territory that they had back. But you would say that they're wrong to do that. You're basically saying that what Russia's doing is wrong. What was the famous word said was about Winston Churchill? Not 1 inch. Somebody said not 1 inch when they had that line where America was not, during the treaty, NATO was not supposed to expand further east. And now they're trying to do that. And that's what Russia and the Soviet Union is trying to prevent. And now we're mad at Russia for taking action and trying to prevent trying to control Ukraine. And I'm not trying to say that they're right or wrong. Look, that's beyond my pay grade. But the thing is, you can't dictate. You can't be a dictator and then dictate to what everybody else can do. So just because you are able to secure the most precious land around the world, because now you're in Iran, you're in Iraq, You done secured the oil fields, you done secured the poppy fields, but yet you're telling everyone else, Bill Maher, you dumbass, that they cannot expand their empires. Basically, Africa can't expand its empire if it wanted to. You're basically saying North Korea can't expand. Vietnam can't expand. No one can expand but America. And your dumbass audience is sitting there clapping over your foolishness because you're an idiot. I totally dislike Bill Maher, as you can probably tell. He's an asshole. So I'm going to let you guys listen to this and write it out, listen to it, and take it for what it's worth. But before you do that, and while you're listening to Bill Maher say the stupidest stuff any human being has ever said before, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'm going to take y'all out. You can listen to Bill Maher. Probably some of you guys probably love what he says because you're in love with the system. But hopefully the people who are really paying attention and are really awake, you will see that Bill Maher is just a big racist liberal idiot. So this is the Political Brown Kid. Check it out.
And finally, new rule. I know it's supposed to be that magical time of year, but maybe what we all really need right now is a good dose of realism. I see a lot of nativity scenes when I'm out, as you always do before Christmas, and I can't help thinking about where that manger really is. It's in the West Bank, on Palestinian land, controlled by the Palestinian Authority. In 1950, the little town of Bethlehem was 86% Christian. Now it's overwhelmingly Muslim. And that's my point tonight. Things change. To 2.3 billion Christians, there can be no more sacred site than where their Savior was born. But they don't have it anymore. And yet no Crusader army has geared up to take it back. Things change. Countries, boundaries, empires. The Irish had the entire island to themselves, but the British were starting an empire, and well, the Irish lost their tip. They blew each other up over it for 30 years, but eventually everybody comes to an accommodation, except the Palestinians. But it's also not rare, happening all through history, all over the world, and mostly what people do is make the best of it. History is brutal, and humans are not good people. History is sad and full of wrongs, but you can't make them unhappen because a paraglider isn't a time machine. People get moved, and yes, colonized. Look at what Mexico used to own, all the way up to the top of California. But no Mexican is out there chanting, from the Rio Grande to Portland, Oregon. Because they chose a different path. They got real and built a country that's the world's 14th biggest economy now. Because they knew the United States wasn't going to give back Phoenix any more than Hamas will ever be in Tel Aviv.